It is Thursday, November 24th, and you're looking at a lit view of our air vehicle on the padded launch complex 2 as it awaits its on-time liftoff tonight. My name is Steven, and I am a payload processing engineer here at Aeon Space. Tonight's launch will carry the Zeleton Federal Security Systems Advanced Satellite into low Earth orbit for Synzensor Space. The rocket you're looking at is Aeon, which was previously named Alpha. This is launch vehicle LV0012, and following stage separation, its booster will attempt a recovery using a parachute and splashing down in the ocean downrange from the launch site. If the recovery is successful, we will process the stage and possibly reuse it for a future mission. Launch teams and mission control are tracking no issues at the moment. The range is green, payload and rocket are healthy, and we'll go for an on-time liftoff a few minutes from now. As I mentioned earlier, we will be attempting to recover the rocket's first stage, which you just saw labeled a second ago. Recovering reusability will reduce launch costs significantly, and will eliminate the need to manufacture new boosters for every mission. This is Block 3 of the vehicle, and Block 2 could only be reused on missions where the payload was light enough. With Block 3, we aim to recover the boosters every flight as it has better performance. With the better performance, the second stage's mission will be shorter today. The payload will be deployed before the first stage lands. We're approaching liftoff. Let's listen into pad audio and watch as our return to flight mission lifts off, debuting our new rocket variant, as well as the new launch site. We are coming up on 4 major milestones in flight. The first will be maximum aerodynamic pressure or max Q, the point where the stress on the vehicle is at peak. The second will be a little bit after max Q, which will be main engine cutoff or MECO. This is where the first stage engine shut down. The third milestone is stage separation, followed shortly by the ignition of the second stage. As you can see in the bottom right, the payload fairing has separated and the second stage is on this way to orbit. The first stage is coasting up towards apogee, or the highest point in its flight path, before it will start falling back to Earth for its splashdown. The second stage's engine has cut off during the event known as SECO, and it will now begin its coast phase before relighting its engine to reach orbit. The first stage is now beginning its descent back towards Earth. Before we can deploy the parachute, the first stage will have to survive re-entry, but we're not too worried about that. You can see the heat building up around the vehicle as it re-enters the atmosphere. Stage 1 has successfully passed through re-entry, and the parachute has been deployed in preparation for splashdown and recovery. While we all wait for the first stage to land, we'd like to remind you that the primary mission today is to deploy the satellite successfully, and it will not be a big deal if the first stage fails to land. We're waiting now for second engine start, to which will place a second stage into orbit. There you go, the second stage carrying the FSSA satellite has reached low Earth orbit, and we are now awaiting the deployment. And the payload has been deployed successfully, and we will now wait for the first stage to splash down in the ocean.
Comes to our stage 1 splashdown confirmed.
There we go, the first stage has successfully splashed down in the ocean. We will send our recovery team out to bring the stage back to processing and possible reuse on a future flight. We'll end the broadcast here, and as always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.